Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request from Rapid Kirby 3K. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, a full playthrough, tier list ranking, random stream, random thoughts, whatever the case. PayPal, CashApp, those are ways you could do it. Links are down in the info box under pretty much any video I make. Feel free, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. So thank you. So this is for the 2005 film The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Now I remember when this came out, I was intrigued because I never read, but I heard so much about the book. I heard so much praise for the book, but yet I didn't know anything about the book. So I think that was my first mistake, was I visualize a different story, but if that's nothing like the book, then that's my fault. Because I looked at the title and go, oh, you know what, that title, like, that'd be cool, kind of like a travelogue, but in space, where maybe you'd take like an alien, takes a human, and just, here's our guide, let's hitchhike around, and just, you're going through all these planets, and diners in space, and landmarks in this core of the universe, and this is going to sound stupid, but like Clerks in space, where the dialogue is just kind of natural, and the dialogue is, I'm not saying it's gotta be, how many alien dicks did you suck? 37 in a row? Yeah, that one had tentacles, that dick had fangs. I'm not saying that, but just that kind of, oh, mall rats, where it's just, the story is just really these people hanging out, and kind of them talking naturally, and just, shooting the breeze. But then in the backdrop, where you're going through all these different crazy locations and, well, different vistas of the landscape of the galaxy and perhaps the universe. That's nothing like the book, so I can't complain about the movie. Didn't do that because it wasn't like the book. But Douglas Adams, who wrote it, he was writing the script, the story of this, but then he died before they made it. So the guy they got to direct this was Garth Jennings, who would go on to direct Scene and Scene 2. So that's the caliber you have for this movie. Now, before I go on, the stars of the film, you have Martin Freeman. He was Bilbo in those Hobbit films. He was in Fargo Season 1, which I did quite enjoy, with Billy Bob Thornton. That's a very good season. I didn't see the other seasons of Fargo, but Season 1 was really good. Billy Bob Thornton was awesome in that. But Martin Freeman was good in that too. He's the star, as our typical human, Arthur. And one day, he's trying to stop his house from being demolished, and a buddy of his, played by Mos Def, which Mos Def actually don't mind as an actor. Although in 16 Blocks, he put this stupid accent on that ruined the whole thing. I'm like, just talk normally, you would have been fine. But anyway, I do like 16 Blocks, but that was always a weird choice. But I've seen him in other stuff, and I liked him. He plays a buddy, and come to find out he's an alien. And he's trying to get to our lead because, to warn him, hey, you saved my life long ago, we've been buddies since, so I'm going to save your life. I'm an alien, you gotta get the hell out of here. Because, unbeknownst to everybody else, the Earth is in the way of this hyperspace route, and they're going to demolish the Earth. So, they get out of there, the Earth gets demolished, and then it's the start of their journey where they have to escape these aliens, which I appreciate the practical effects on them. They're big, they're massive. They purposely are meant to be boring. They say they're poetry and supposed to make you lose your mind because they're saying they're poetry. I do like again, the practical effects I thought were neat to look at. And then eventually they escape, and they get with other characters. They get with, quote, the President of the Galaxy, played by Sam Rockwell. I like Sam Rockwell. He's in this very good film called Moon, very good sci-fi film. He was in Galaxy Quest, among other movies. And then Zooey Deschanel. I'm just going to call her Douche because listen, she may be a nice lady. As an actress, I think she sucks. She's a douche. The Happening, this movie, so many times I've seen her and she has this kind of, oh, how's it going, huh? What's going on? Like, there's nothing there but hot air. Like, this vacant look and vacant acting and vacant personality. She sucks. At least the stuff maybe she's in a film that blew the wads off of everybody, but The Happening and this movie, and what the hell else has she been in? Because I thought she was awful in this. She was wooden, she was boring, I did this vacuous state of brain waves. I barely remember her in Yes Man, because I barely remember that film. Trying to find a filmography of hers. I'm just curious. Elf. I'm not a fan of Elf. Your Highness is Belladonna. So she wasn't one of the main... Well, she wasn't like one of the main good guys. Trolls. She was a voice in the Trolls movies. Well, maybe that works better than her actual on-screen acting. But yeah, The Happening in this film, I don't think she's that impressive an actress. Far, far, far from it. I think she sucks. She's the other human, and she doesn't know yet that the Earth has been destroyed. And the reason the Earth got destroyed was because Sam Rockwell was trying to get in her pants. He thought he was signing an autograph, but really he signed for these aliens to destroy this. Because they needed his signature. But he was too much of an idiot. There's also a robot who's a manic depressive, voiced by Alan Rickman. I thought that was a fun choice. Just rest in peace, Alan Rickman, great actor. John Malkovich has a bit role, although you could have easily cut his part out and it would not affect much of the story. And, see, this is a film that it didn't do that well at the box office. It was meant to catapult a franchise for multiple films, but it didn't, because this film didn't do anything. The critics were mixed on it. And I don't even know what fans of the book felt about this, yay or nay. As a guy that never read the book, as an outsider, this seems like a movie I should enjoy more, because of how different and weird and quirky it is. I mean, the opening scene is a bunch of dolphins singing about so long and thanks for all the fish, because they're ready to leave, because they know what's happened to the Earth. And the ideas, there's this yellow fish that you put in your ear so you can understand alien languages. They're in this spaceship, and what goes into this warp drive, it'll change the ship into different items quickly. And when they come out of it for a short brief, there'll either be sofas that talk or yarn that talk until the residual effects weaken. There's a planet they land on, and each time they take a step, something comes up and hits them in the face, like Sideshow Bob with the rake. But it's like this creature. It's like they grab one, and the creature's like... This is like, we gotta be careful, something about not thinking, because they'll come up and hit you in the face again. There's this computer that, voiced by Helen Mirren, I believe, that people want the answer to the universe and the meaning of life, and they go, oh, it's 42. What? Well, you gotta think of the best question. So don't take all this time for the best question. And then I guess you find out that the question is actually, was Earth? Or something like that. I don't know, something about this film, when I first saw it back then, and well now 20 years later, watch it again, just never clicked for me. And never clicked for me. And when I think of films of 2005, actually that'd be interesting to look at real quick. Actually, let's see what other comedies. There was, sorry, just want to double check real quick. There was, is there any way to do this quicker? There's Wedding Crashers, there was Waiting, there was, like, Tis Tis Bang Bang I like. Now, this is based on this list saying that they're 2005. Waiting, I remember having some fun with. The Pacifier is more kid-friendly, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, I'm not big on the Sandlot 2, but I don't know anyone who is. There was Just Friends. There was, I mentioned Wedding Crashers. You know, these are the comedies during this era. Tis Tis Bang Bang was a fun one. I actually don't mind the Dukes of Hazzard movie. I know a lot of people hated that one. So that's the comedy landscape during that time. And then what sci-fi films of 2005 did you have? Zathura, which I liked. The Island, I thought was pretty good. I don't mind The War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, but I don't love it. I like Doom. I love Constantine. V for Vendetta, I thought was okay. I don't mind the Fantastic Four film from 2005. But yeah, The Island I liked. Serenity I liked. Sky High I liked. Yeah, The Island I think is a bit underrated. And I like Doom. So, just a little bit of like the landscape during that time period. And it seemed like, okay, this is very unique and this is very weird, but just something about it. I don't know if it's just the characters, like the way they were written. I know people say Mos Def was miscast. I never read the source material, so I'll take their word for it. I don't mind him, but then like halfway through, he's not really an important part of the movie. And it seemed like it would be because it'd be kind of this buddy movie between the two of them. But again, Mos Def kind of, the second half of the film, he really doesn't have much to do. Because there's a point they get separated, and it's just the lead guy and Alan Rickman, the robot, and then this guy, I think it's Bill Nighy, who's in the Underworld films. He plays the villain in a lot of movies. He comes in and says, let me show you something, and they're building a second Earth, and then something about these mice, that's these beings, and we need your brain. He's like, I don't want, you can't take my brain, and he kills them pretty quickly, but then here's these other aliens, and we gotta shoot this gun that will give your thoughts to them, and so Marvin, the non-Martian, shoots the gun, and because he's depressed, now all these aliens who was the villains for the rest of the movie, they become depressed. Like I said, Mos Def doesn't really have any, like, they make it seem like he's an important character. He's just the guy that gets him off the planet, and then after, he really doesn't have a whole lot to do. He really doesn't have a whole lot to do after the first third of the movie. So again, as a guy that I thought would be much more important, and again, this buddy, close, tight group friendship, not really. So that was a bit weird. Sam Rockwell, he's kind of just, you know, he's weird for weird's sake. He's got this thing where he kind of has like two heads, just he'll lift and there's another face there. Some of the special effects don't hold up. Some of them do. No, I don't know why I said no. Some of the effects do hold up, some not so much. It just seemed like an assembly of scenes kind of loosely put together, which is ironic because the idea I thought Hitchhiker's Guide was kind of like that, but much more of like an interesting, like, travelogue. But I don't know. The actual Hitchhiker Guide at times gets barely referenced. Once in a while you see it, then almost as soon as you see it, it's gone. The chemistry between Martin Freeman and Zooey, I didn't care because Zooey, she's horrible in this movie and The Happening. Just like, oh, what's going on here? Again, just again, she may be a nice lady and she's fine in real life, but in her characters seem like fucking airheads. Not the movie, which I like, and not the candy, which I like. So it's the kind of airhead I don't like. And it felt like it was just kind of a movie looking for a plot. I don't know if the book is much more focused. I don't know, just the humor didn't land. There are moments that gave me kind of a smirk. There's a bit where the ship turns these missiles into two items. One's a plant and one of them is a whale. And then you have kind of the inner thoughts of a whale who has this happy-go-lucky mentality as it's fallen to the earth and he doesn't know what's going on because I've just been born. What's that? Oh, I'll think of a name. A tail. Yeah, a tail. Oh, hey, ground. Can we be friends? And then, boom. Like, that was kind of funny because it's just, you don't see that every day. It's unique. I appreciate it in some of the makeup effects, like the actual creatures. Just nowadays they just do that all CGI, so to do that practically was cool. But it just kind of fell flat for me. I don't know, maybe if I read the book, I wouldn't get the humor of the book. If maybe it's a movie that tried to be like UK, like British comedy, and other than films like Shaun of the Dead, which I really enjoy, Hot Fuzz I liked, a lot of British comedies just don't do much for me. America, yeah, I know. I'm just dumb American. Fuck yeah. It just fell flat. I mean, the John Malkovich is Sam Rockwell's rival. I like the idea that you think he has eyes, and when he takes the glasses off, he has no eyes. And he'll kind of do this, and then put his eyes back on as part of the glasses. I like that idea. When he gets up and like he has all these like little tiny robot legs, the effects don't look the best. But it is 20 years ago. But really, his character don't really mean anything because, okay, I'm going to take your other head as collateral. I need this gun. They go and they get the gun, but you never see them bring the gun back. And you think, oh, John Malkovich is going to be one of the villains, or he's going to be working with the aliens, who's been kind of the bad guys. No, he just you never see John Malkovich again. The mice, you think the mice is going to be a more important part? Well, I mean, they get killed pretty easily. They're just dead. I thought, like, the computer, there's something about the computer. But no, pretty much the computer wants to watch TV, and they give him a doorway to go through to get the gun, and then they leave. And I guess that the answer was on Earth, or was Earth. So I guess technically, it did what it needed to do, that part of it. And then at the end of the film, Now the lead guy doesn't want to stay on Earth. Now he wants to go out there. I didn't buy that transition of his character, that change of his character, that now he just wants to go across the universe. He has the ability to stay on Earth, but it's like, nah. I guess to be fair, there's nobody else on Earth, so what the hell would he do? Although they show this rapid fire montage, I don't know if that means they rapid fire the montage of... If I try to remember, if they rapid fire evolution to go back to where it was before, because you see like this rapid montage. So I guess technically, if that's the case, then he could go back to where everything was. But I guess it's supposed to be the idea is that he was... Well, I guess really just the hint with Zooey douche. Like I said, most deaf. I was kind of disappointed that his character didn't have a whole lot to do in the second half of the film. I don't know, it just the humor wasn't really that funny. I didn't. The bit with the whale falling, that was kind of funny. Thomas Lennon from Reno 911 as the voice of the ship, I did like that. Alan Rickman as this, again, depressed robot, I think that voice fit. I could give you the odds of your survival, but you're really not going to like it. So there are moments, and but it's just a film that I remember seeing the film and going, this was what all the hype was about with this book? This was the hype? So I don't know, if you read the book, is it something about the movie that missed the mark compared with the book, or what? I don't know, it just... It always fell flat to me. I can appreciate the source material being inventive. You know. But I don't know, just... I don't know, just maybe this just wasn't the right director. Maybe they tried to put too much gloss with all, trying to make that big blockbuster movie. I don't know, just... That was my reaction, kind of. That's how I was back then, that's how it is now. I don't know how else to put it. So long, thanks for all the fish. I don't fucking know. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.